Hey Jay, it's Sean.
Uh,
Not a lot. Texting and typing doesn't work out so good for me. A lot of people they take stuff wrong and then block me, and I don't have the opportunity to defend myself, and it's because they didn't understand. So talking is more effective. The whole Asperger's thing just makes things complicated,
eh, I don't know. It's pretty simple over here in New York. Everybody just talks shit anyways.
right? Yeah. Well, there was a
Most everybody has a mental illness in New York. Like, we're all fucked up.
yeah, it's New York. I've never been there. The closest I've ever been is Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah. You asked who Natalie
So,
was. She was a friend of mine who was shot in the head.
it sucks. What happened?
I exposed her dad as a child molester. I was living with
Oh my god.
Ken and Leah at the time, and they'd stolen all of my disability money. I'm not sure if
Of
you're.
course they did.
Yeah, that's kind of their MO. You know them.
What's going to happen to Gabriel when he turns 18 and they no longer get a check for him?
Um, well, Leah, she wants to get a. She wants to get a. She wants complete control over him. She was actually talking about seeing if they can chemically sterilize him so he can't have kids.
I'll fucking kill her. This time I'm serious. Dude. Okay, so I just sent Gabriel a very long text message explaining that I haven't really had a choice. Leah never gave me a choice to be there, but I'm trying to give him the family house for just him. You know, me and his grandmother can live there and help him too. But he doesn't need. There's a lot of people that have Asperger's here. As actually, most people have it here, and it's kind of like a community. I think he would do better here, but Leah kind of is going to fill his head with horror stories and make him believe that we're horrible people and we're just going to torture him or not let him do what he wants. When the reality of the fact is Leah and Ken have been telling him since the day my daughter died that it was his fault and he should just stay in his room and not be around other people.
You're right. I know. I was there for about 8 months. They treat him completely like shit. He spends his
Yeah,
whole life in his room. You know what they did for his birthday while I was there? He has
but
problems with large groups like I do. And
right.
Leah, she really wanted to go to a Hollywood Undead concert, like really bad. And so she was collecting
When he went
donations.
to the Den Company show with me, he did pretty good. He just wanted to hustle the whole time. He was just hustling people. But I think like large group, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, he didn't want to go. Like they surprised him with it, but Leah's the one that wanted to go. And
Of course.
they've been making hats. They're stash hats. They have a hidden compartment in the top, and they've been
Yeah.
dealing through those hats. So they've
Well,
been
it's better than dealing through the freaking crib they used to deal through. I mean, yeah, I
right.
know. Pills, right?
Yep.
They deal with
Yep.
Oxycontin and such.
But he didn't want to go, and then it was a gift for Leah, is what it was. And when it didn't turn out the way that she wanted it to, like for almost a week after his birthday, they were both treating him like shit. But I mean, Ken gets physical with him a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they wanted Gabriel to do something in the kitchen, and I don't remember what it was that he was doing exactly, but he had a knife in his hand, and he wasn't trying to hurt anybody with it. And he knows
Well,
when
he
Ken's
has
going to get
hurt
physical.
people before with knives, though,
Yep, I've
as
heard.
far as I know.
Well, see, that's the
When he
thing.
was 16, he was supposed to stay with me on the western slopes of Colorado, and he didn't want to go because he didn't want to have to be outdoors all the time. He wanted to just sit in his room and play video games. So he stabbed his teacher.
I shouldn't laugh about that. But the thing is that Ken and Leah were having some sort of bullshit going on that really didn't have anything to do with Gabriel, and he's constantly stuck in his room. And he
Right.
was into the kitchen, which is like a some sort of great feat. He should feel privileged because he gets to go into the kitchen at that point in time. And so Ken, Ken gets
he's almost 18 years old. He should be able to handle a knife in the kitchen by himself.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I can't do anything about it. My rights have been stripped for fucking 17 years, 15 years, something like that. I've been waiting for him to turn 18. So maybe, just maybe, he'll come out. At this point, I will fight Leah if she tries to. She can't take control of him. She's not a healthcare worker. She's not part of the state.
But she's also really selfish, and you know that. Like she talks
just
about
wants the money, dude. She just wants his money.
Well, they did the same thing with me. They took all of my money and they made empty promises. They didn't fulfill them. And when Natalie was shot in the head, they used that as their excuse to kick me out and pretend like they were scared of me. Like they literally assaulted me in the kitchen. But like Gabriel, he knows when when Ken is gonna assault him because Leah won't. She has Ken do it, and Ken, like when he came into the kitchen, he knew that Ken was going to assault him.
She never wanted him. That's why I don't understand why she's done this after all these years. It's got to be just to keep the money because, like, even from the day he was born, she said, "I don't want a child. That's your child. You have to do everything." I would work 2 jobs and still come home and have to change diapers and cook dinner. Like,
yeah,
this pisses me off, dude. That she's done this all these years.
You knew she was doing
it. Half the people in Boulder don't believe me. They think that like I'm some evil person that abused her. No, she's the one that came at me with knives and fucking psychotic attitude. She didn't want me, Mom.
She is
and then
the
she took him anyways.
But see, the thing is, he put the knife down because he knew that he was going to get assaulted. And then when Ken took him down, he took him down by the neck in the kitchen and was yelling at him and screaming at him and saying, "How dare you come at me with a knife?" And Gabriel didn't come at him with a knife.
He was not. Ken was just fucking high. You know what? Ken gave up 3 of his own children to be with Leah and abuse mine. Well, they never abused Andrea, but Gabriel's been abused his whole life. I don't even think he realizes it.
He knows what it's like to live in his room, and that's what he knows. That's his life, the life of a cage.
He's got Stockholm syndrome from it too. Like that's all he wants to do, even when he visits with me, very rarely and occasionally. But man, somebody's got to convince him to come out here. He's got his own house. My mom got divorced. She left the family house in my name, and I'm not gonna stay here unless there's a reason to stay here, or turn into better breakfast and travel, or I don't know. I guess he doesn't like traveling, so I don't know what to do. I've been traveling since I lost him, pretty much, because homeless in Denver sucks. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. Colorado sucks in general.
Now it does. It didn't when I was younger. Like when we were younger, I guess.
Yeah. Well, when I was homeless in Boulder, when I first went there, it was all right. I mean, other than my friends freezing to death, that was the first place my entire life where I was allowed to be me. Like, other than that, people expect me to be neurotypical, and I'm like, I can't.
When did you first go to Boulder? If you don't mind my asking.
Well, I guess the first time I went there, I was like 3 or 4, but I moved there in 2003, and I was 23 at the time. That's when I had my
first. Same time that I moved there. I moved there in 2000.
Yeah, I'm Rabbit's brother, Sean.
I know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I left there in like 2005 or so, and then I went back to actually save lives. I went back and passed out blankets for 7 years and walked people to the warming centers and stood in between people and the people they were trying to stab or the people that were trying to stab
We didn't
them.
have warming centers. We had people like Pixie that just made camps up in the fucking snow.
Yeah, kitchen
She
camps.
still lives on my property in Arizona. That's how much I care about my people.
Yeah, I know Pixie.
But you better know Pixie, Jesus.
Yeah, she was dating
Fucking
Ogre for a
Misty.
while.
I've been talking to Misty a lot too. She lived with Leah and Ken for a while, and she was saying the same thing that they abuse Gabriel and just take advantage of or steal from anyone that comes in their house. Pretty much steal from people, their own friends.
Yeah, they didn't have
And it's
anything
just so
nice to say about
horrible
her
that
either.
my sons had to grow up in the fucking ghetto of Denver. I had a house. I don't know if she told you this or not, but I had a house in that. I was making like 5-10 grand a month just selling weed to college kids. And she didn't want me selling drugs. And here she is doing this, you know?
Yeah,
I
there's
didn't really
also a
consider
big
selling
difference
drugs at the
between
time.
weed and fucking selling people X and Oxycontin and oxycodone and like you remember Tabby?
Fucking South Denver too, like Inglewood.
Yeah. So
I'm
Tabby
surprised my
was
son's not gay.
well, if
Is
he
he even
was, I'd
sexual at
accept
all?
him. I don't. I think he's a lot similar to me as far as sex goes. I don't think he has much interest in it,
Gotcha.
but I do have some stuff from Tabby about how uh, Leah was she had a bag of ecstasy and she was hiding it in the Christmas toys one year. I mean, Leah has a long history of that. Between that and like she talks about her,
Yeah, at least once a month I'd have to fucking buy it for her, more like every weekend. And then I'd have to pay for a babysitter, pay for a house sitter. Like, I had to pay for a nanny because she never take care of the kids. I don't know if that's still the case, obviously. And
well, they only have the one now.
they blame fucking Gabriel. It's their fucking fault that my daughter's dead. Their fault.
No, she's been able to get over $20,000 in donations from people over that.
Yeah, and guess who paid for it? Paid for everything.
You?
Me. I paid for it. My mom initially loaned me the money and I paid it back. Yes, all the services, all the silver necklaces they wear on their fucking necks, the ashes, the bile urn, everything. We even paid their rent for a couple months. She still get donations. She says it's for Christmas donations.
It's pretty messed up. But that's the thing is that a lot of people, like after Natalie died, all of these predators that were doing this stuff, right before Natalie died, I was trying to get a lawyer so that I could recover what they stole from me. And with them assaulting me in the kitchen, like Ken didn't actually assault me. He was just up in my face screaming. But their roommate Dawn assaulted me, and her boyfriend Freak
Don,
is Dawn Bird.
you know, Freak. Wait,
I do know
Freak and
Freak.
Don are still together after like this many years.
Well,
Wait, that can't be the same. Can't be the same person.
they break up and get back together and break up and get back together. But he's threatened my life on several occasions. I actually lit the road on fire next to Ken's truck in 2018 to try to force the police to take a look.
Sean, doesn't everyone threaten your life at one point or another? Told her that general area. It's like every time I turn around, you've got a story of people are hurt after me. I just stopped being nice and started kicking ass. Like I'm not a hippie anymore. I'm fucking Italian and I live up to my rep. I will fuck motherfucker up.
Well, that's the thing. They threaten me over the internet like little bitches.
Oh, that doesn't count.
I agree. But then I end up getting, when I go to Boulder, I get assaulted. Now I have warrants out for my arrest in Colorado for standing up to the police. They didn't want to believe any of this stuff that I told them about the Bollinger family or about Ken and Leah or about any of that. They're like, oh no, they just needed a scapegoat after Natalie died, and all of these predators used Natalie's death as their excuse why I deserved what they did to me. And that's one of the reasons for giving you a call and talking to you is that like you were married to Leah. You know about that situation. It was your daughter that died too. You know. I mean, that's all stuff that's important. The other thing is like,
My daughter died because she ran ran from. She just ran out to the. She was riding her bike out to the street.
yeah. Well, I wasn't there for that. I wasn't there when she died, but Ken, one of the reasons for me moving there is that Ken was like, you're in a bad way and Leah's in a bad way, and I just need to make sure that she's safe while I'm at work. And they convinced me to move there. Sorry, there's a train going by.
Leah was pretty suicidal for the first couple of years.
Yeah,
I went back to being an alcoholic and eventually turned back to methamphetamine, and it hasn't been pretty either.
yeah, a lot of people. That's the whole world now. Like everybody in America's on meth.
Well, it's different with Asperger's though. We're supposed to have some sort of amphetamine. We're not supposed to like overdo it, but it relaxes and calms us down.
Puts me to sleep, but I haven't done it in years.
Exactly.
I only did it because my friends here in Chapel, they all my friends turned into meth heads, and then they didn't want to hang out with anybody that wasn't on meth because they were paranoid. So for about
Right.
30 days in 2003, I did meth with them, and I basically slept through that 30 days. And after that, that's when I moved down to Boulder. That's when I said, you know what, I'm done with this. I don't have any friends anymore. They're all drugs now. But like when I was growing up,
Now
I
it's
was on
double. Now it's
Ritalin.
all over Boulder, so it doesn't even matter.
Yep,
Well, where are you at now? If you're not in Boulder,
I'm in Chapel, Nebraska.
sucks to suck. There's probably a lot of meth there too.
Yeah, there is. Well, actually, Chapel, Nebraska, we're famous for meth. The anhydrous ammonia here. Every time they
Yeah.
change the color of the dye in the anhydrous ammonia, they got new names for the meth in Denver. When they
Well,
changed it to
I know
pink.
there's a lot in Missouri cheap. Like I was considering going out there because right now I can't get the weed that I need from California just to fucking do something with my tax return. But not if Gabriel was going to come. I was hoping maybe you were somewhere where you could convince Gabriel to come to me, but I don't know what
Yeah,
the fuck to do.
that's the thing is that like as far
I
as
can't fight while I'm there. Like I don't have enough money to fucking live in Denver. The place is too expensive. I can't be homeless and do anything about it.
yep, that's a big major issue too. Like, and now they just legalized all Schedule One and Schedule Two drugs there. So I mean, it's basically legal to get all fucked up all the damn time. But the cops are bad.
Well,
I
here
mean,
in
they
New
got
York, they
worse.
dropped bail laws, so now when you get charged with anything, you get booked and released. They don't bail. They don't have hold you on bail anymore.
Yeah, they also allow you to use the phones. I was reading about that recently. That's one of the things they
Yep.
do nationwide
Yep.
to prevent poor people from being able to call the people that they need to. They use that to great effect.
I'm fighting a case right now, and they're charging me with the normal felonies, like they trump them up. Usually, it's just misdemeanor possessions, and it's like they don't even know what to think because I'm showing up to court, and they're like, "Oh, this one's actually showing up. What do we do? Oh shit, we might have to drop these charges."
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to scare criminals out of New York. They can't afford to hold them anymore.
Well, they do that nationwide. I mean, they did a lot of the police nationwide have been involved in fucking with me. Because right after Natalie was killed, and I couldn't go back to Ken and Leah's, and I was assaulted by an officer named Waylon Lolatai, they charged me with felony assault against a police officer. And although they dropped the charges, that's still on my arrest
See, you
record.
don't remember hanging out with me at all in Boulder. Seems like.
Well,
you were like, "Oh wow, we're already friends." Yeah, we're already friends.
I do remember you. I just didn't remember that you were Gabriel's dad.
Oh, yeah. You probably remember me when Leo was gone and I was homeless, or like slowly going into homeless when I went through my big methamphetamine phase. Lost everything, lost my mind.
Yep. I got a few of my friends that are like that. A lot of them, like I used to, because I didn't do the drugs, you know. I mean, a lot of people came to me because I didn't do the drugs. They knew I wasn't gonna just pretend to help them because I wanted to get their meth or I wanted to get their acid or whatever.
And then when I come back to Boulder, I pretty much was, when I'm on the streets, I'm an alcoholic. I will drink, especially if it's cold. I drink a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm not drinking a lot right now though. Work a lot.
Well, they keep trying to put me on medications, and I got a lot of people that offer to buy me drinks. Like nobody ever offered to buy me drinks when I was an alcoholic, but when I quit drinking, like everybody and their mom wants to buy me a drink.
What do you do in Nebraska?
I smoke tobacco out of an aluminum pipe. I fucked up my back and I got a lot of head problems. Right after Natalie was killed, I got hit in the head a lot. I got assaulted a lot, and I'm still having to deal with the issues from that.
Do you get disability insurance? SSI, DI?
I was getting disability before Natalie was killed, but after she died, the police did everything in their power to try to frame me for a crime that I didn't commit and do everything in their power to destroy my credibility. And
Right.
I haven't had that money since. It's all gone to the
You gotta
courts.
understand that it's all because they don't want it. They don't want a scandal in that town again.
But they still
I
have
understand
scandals.
that's what it's really about in that area. It's just, they're gonna try to dissuade anything. Like,
Well,
I highly recommend going to California. It's really easy to get back on disability, and they give you like $950 a month.
I was in California, but I didn't have the help that I needed for that. It was a really scary situation there for me.
You got to go to Southern California out in the desert, South California in the desert. One of those towns. I'm trying to think the name of it, but they'll put you in a halfway house like right away, fast track you, and you like within 6 months you'll be right back on it. But yeah, that's our hot spot for SSDI. I can even go right now just because I've been homeless for so long.
Well, the reason I'm in Chapel is because the familiarity thing. Like, I'm sure you know enough about Asperger's. You know, familiarity is important.
Not really, dude. We didn't have a name for it when I grew up, and I've never been diagnosed with it. I just know that that's what I have because I freak out sometimes and scare people. Maybe not as bad as Gabriel, but I had a lot more attention. I was more loved, I guess. But I was still abused as a child too. It seems to be a trait that runs in my family, in the males of our family.
Well, a lot of that is PTSD. Like it's traits and reactions to having PTSD from the abuse.
Correct.
But Gabriel gets it bad. Like Ken was nice to me for the most part, but that's also because I had money coming in and he wanted that money.
Of course.
But
so they could keep popping pills.
Yep.
They might as well be heroin junkies. Once
Natalie,
Gabriel's gone, and trust me, he'll be gone because once they don't have to worry about I have a kid and the law could come after me, they're just gonna go full blown. I already know it. I feel it in my bones, dude. And that's why I sent him that email. I need other people to reach out to him. He has a Facebook now. I'm not sure that Leah can know that he has the Facebook. But if he doesn't want to be here, I'm willing to help him locate anywhere. Like I've got cousins with Asperger's as bad as he has it here that have their own places and work a job and it's not the end of the world. There's a lot of help. There's a lot of funding. There's all sorts of different things. I'm not trying to take video games away, or I know he likes to fucking pretend like he's a programmer and a DJ and this and that. Like he can still have his fantasy world all he wants. Maybe even make something out of it and make fantasy a reality.
He definitely wants to. They just wouldn't let him. But he's going to need some social transitioning. Like if he gets just straight up dropped off at 18, he's not going to transition well. He doesn't have any social
You
skills.
don't
He lives in
understand.
his
My
room.
family, everybody in my family has it. We're used to it. Like he might not be used to the transitioning into a group of people that just act the same as him, but it'll just work.
He's a good kid. Like out of everyone there, he was the one person that I really made a connection with. Like he used to come out to the garage and hang out with me when he could sneak out.
He doesn't trust me. They filled his head with lies. They
Uh,
made him think that I've abandoned him and never wanted anything to do with him. And it's so far from the truth.
well, I know that you sent him some gifts for his birthday, and they remarked it with their names, and that would have been 3 years ago, I guess.
Of course they did.
But the thing with me with the whole Natalie situation is that after Natalie was killed and the police officer Waylon Lolatai, he assaulted 6 more people after he assaulted me. And then they sent me to a place called Clearview, and Clearview literally killed a man doing the things that I was trying to tell people that they were doing. And there's YouTube stuff from the news, specifically on Waylon Lolatai and specifically on Clearview. And then the Boulder Police Department assaulted me in August, and
Wait,
then
are
they
we gonna
killed a
get into
man.
the whole eating people and eating kids thing? Because I don't want to talk about that.
I'm
That
not
shit's
going to
real.
eat
Rich
anybody.
people eat children, and it's real, and they worship the devil, and the Bible is the satanic Bible, and I don't even want to get into it. It's
Yeah,
thousands of years of rape and oppression and eating children. It's fucking bizarre that just now we're discovering that this is going on.
yeah. Well, I won't make you talk about that. I'm actually real familiar with the human trafficking and the selling of children in Boulder. I've had a lot of friends that have gone through that, so that's not
I saved
something
some
to.
friends from going through that, like Kayla, and if you remember her, and
You mean like Kayla and Junior Kayla or Peaches Kayla?
yes, no,
Kayla and Junior?
yeah,
Junior Nair Hair. I remember him. Always wore a bandana. Yeah, I took a possession charge for them. Kayla and Junior, they dropped their pipe because Officer Moore was coming up, and they saw Officer Moore, and so they dropped their pipe. And when they dropped it, it bounced right in between my feet. I'm like, holy fuck,
I
that is so
remember that.
screwed.
I do remember that. I remember I bought her a bus ticket to come back home because she ran away and got so far. And she's like, I don't know what to do. Like, send me $20 or something. I'm like, girl, I'm just gonna buy you a bus ticket right now. Like, couldn't get it to like buy it and put it in her name, so I just sent her the money. I was like, you don't come home, like, don't call me again. She did, and then let her stay for a few weeks, and then I think she ended up going to Rachel's because at that time a lot of people cycled through Rachel's house, Gun
Yep,
Barrel. I was the manager, the general manager of that Pizza Hut. I don't know if you remember that or not.
yep, I do actually.
I always give anybody that came in a free pizza. In addition, all my pizzas went to the carriage house. Donated any messed up pizzas. My employees wanted a pizza. I made them cook a fresh one because we never had any loss doing it that way. But really, it was just a front. When I left there, they started losing money and losing business. They had to shut the store down. The only reason they sold so much pizza there is because people wanted to buy pot and mushrooms from me, and I had all the drivers deliver it for me. And not just that store, but like 5 different stores. Which I don't know. It's a lot more intricate, tighter circles back then. Things just got set up whether you were trying to set them up or not. Just had each other's backs. There was more unity. Kept all the hard drugs in Denver. And like
Yep.
Cops loved us for that until Ty accidentally put the wrong orange Julias out, mixed up the batches. The electric orange ended up going out to all the children and the parents, politicians, and the other stuff went to us. We were like, why aren't we tripping today? It's supposed to be electric orange day. That eliminated having to sell singles. We no longer sold singles. We just gave them away. We just had to buy some orange Julias. That shut that down, turned into Salvaggio's. But fucking, it sweeps hard, dude. I had to leave town, and everyone else fucking went to jail, or still to this day on paper, or ended up narking or something. Like, but I don't think Boulder's ever been the same since Ty fucked up the orange Julias.
Yeah, that whole place just turned into a different world. Like the cops, they stopped going after. Well, they never really went after the actual criminals. They want to keep the actual criminals there because the actual criminals committing crimes gets people calling it in. And then when they call it in, the cops go and arrest somebody, and it's usually somebody innocent, but it's a homeless person, so they get to railroad them. And like they literally went through the park down there, and they.
Well, look what happened to my best friend Hobbs, dude. Well, my best friend Casey's actually still doing good. He lives in San Fran now. But me, Casey, and Hobbs were like an inseparable team. That put David Sturgeon in there as well, and a couple other people.
The Wizard.
Before he was a narc. And
Peace is living in Florida now.
I know he's a pedicab driver, or he was last I knew.
Hobbs is all fucked up on heroin, and he's having problems quitting.
Heroin?
Yep.
He's a tweaker, not a junkie.
No, it's heroin now. I mean, him and Christine.
Since when? I've been back several times, and it's never been H.
Well, that's the thing. The last time I was there, it was in 2018 was the last time that I saw him, and he was nodding off. He said that him and Christine were all.
To some rainbow gatherings. We went to Ocala, and then he just fucking lost it. He's like, Jay, I can't do it. I gotta get some speed. We're gonna travel around California until we find some speed. And then, like, yeah, he found it, but then he went crazy and decided that we're going to Walmart. We're gonna do one of our old stings. I was like, Hobbs, we don't have fucking a week long to act homeless at this Walmart and then clear it out. And they go. Like, we should just go. We make money fine on the road. And he just started stealing electronics and bringing it out. He'd go back in, be like, other people need to come with me. This is really easy. And I'm like, and all of a sudden he was in jail. Going and like gonna be there for a while. And I left. I was like, I'm not gonna fucking sit here and wait for you, buddy. Like, that was pretty stupid.
Right. Well,
I've seen him since then, but
there are a lot of people that are getting their lives cleaned up. Like Danny, he quit dealing. He's a dad now, and he's doing good. Danny Dragon. You might not know him. He was a little later. But I don't know. The big thing though was Christine. Like her heroin use was really fucked up. Her and Red. And
I know.
Red's actually doing good. He quit everything. He's taking care of his son, their son, Red. I guess. And he's doing good with that.
I haven't heard Red's name in a long time. Last time, like, I saw him, I threw him out in the Thunderbird apartments. I threw him over the balcony because he was shooting up in my bathroom after I'd already warned him twice to not do that. And he had his own house anyways. You know why he always got out of his charges? His mom was a CNN weather reporter or something, a CNN news reporter.
Yeah, it ain't about what you do, it's about who you know.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, I'm proud of anybody who's able to get out of that. It's tough, especially like a lot of the parents that I know that are dealing, they're dealing because they just simply can't make enough to take care of their kids having a regular job, and they still keep their regular job, and they're still having to deal on the side.
I'll always hustle, Sean. I'll always have a hustle. I mean, right now the dream is still to get a pot dispensary. I don't want one in Colorado. I don't want one in Oregon. All those people have stabbed me in the back, ripped me off over the years. Even my baby mama has $1 million, my other baby mama as $1 million fucking property out in Oregon. I want mine in Missouri, where the laws are really sweet, right there off the 55 or whatever, 54, somewhere near like maybe like Lebanon or Springfield.
Well,
I
you
like
see,
the area, and I like Hot Springs, Arizona, but Arizona kind of sucks for their laws on the weed right now. But I think
yep,
Missouri is the best place to go. That way, when Big Pharma comes, I can afford to stay. There's nothing they can do about it. Or they could pay me $10 million and I'll retire.
right. Well, that's the thing is that they got all these people with old marijuana charges. A lot of them are still sitting in jail in these places. Like you'd think that they'd let them go, but you know that
Not the felony charges, because that's a federal thing. Like, that's back when they were like hitting people with RICO. So it's not just that they got busted with weed. You know, they got busted with weed with an investigation that lasted blah 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 months. So it actually gets covered under RICO, which doesn't go away, no matter what reason. Tax evasion, gang affiliation, things like that is federal law. So yeah,
that's a lot of the stuff I'm
unfortunately,
dealing
that's
with.
how it goes.
I've
I was
been,
always really lucky. I fought all my felonies until they went away. Because if you fight them, even if you're in jail, they'll keep pressuring you. Like you could be fighting this in jail for a year, and then in the end, get more time than you would have if you would just plead out. It's like, no, that's your scare tactic. You don't have enough money to take me to court for a year in a jury trial. So prove me wrong, buddy. Because what county are we in? This looks poor as shit.
well, they
Maybe
got
we'll look
me.
good, but they probably still wouldn't. It's all about the conviction rating. They want to get
Yep,
DA.
a high conviction rate means that they're doing a
It's
good
actually
job.
really easy to beat a felony, man. I've beat 10 of them in my lifetime, and I'm still not a felon.
Well, they did a lot worse stuff to me because they had the mentally ill tag to throw at me. So that really helped them out a lot. They kept on when I'd try to turn in the cops who were assaulting me and threatening me and harassing me and pulling all their fucked up shit. They just put me on suicide watch and everything was okay. Refused to give me their
Well, that's
names.
just because they don't understand this, Sean. Like, we have Asperger's. We have a natural affinity to alchemy and, like, energy and transformation and being able to see beyond the matrix.
Well, it's the problem solving skills that they really needed to listen to. I mean, they thought that I was just going to let it go. They figured if they had a public pretender who would. My public pretenders, by the way, were all on the prosecution side, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
They always are. They play golf together every weekend. I mean, why wouldn't they be? That's who pays their salaries.
Yep.
Just saying. When you're not good enough to be a DA, then you're a public defender, unless you're a really good defense attorney. A lot of a lot of DAs turn into defense attorneys and make more money that way.
Yep. Well, for me, like I never even sold weed. You know, like I literally never sold drugs. The worst I ever did was weed. You know, I mean, and that's the thing that they were trying to peg me as some sort of big major drug user and shit like that. And I'm like, you know,
No,
that
they
ain't
either
me.
want to gather all the homeless and put them in FEMA camps, or they want you to keep moving. That's why I was a traveler, Sean. Like, well, that and losing the kids, and I didn't know where they were for 7 years. For Christ's sake. I mean, I kind of knew they were in Texas, but I also knew the last time I saw their dad, or their grandfather, I should say, her dad, he put 2 ounces of meth in my van, and this is before I ever touched the stuff. And then on his way out of town, called the cops, thinking it was my van. And I had just bought a van from Tigger, John Schramm,
Yep, I know
and
Tigger.
I hadn't picked it up yet. So he put 2 ounces of meth in somebody else's van at the Thunderbird, and they went to jail.
Is that why John lost his kid?
Here's another thing about Grandpa. Been making methamphetamine since Leah was a baby. Used to blow it in her crib, feed it to her for breakfast. God, some of the horror stories she would tell me about that.
She told me the same stories.
And then she ran away. when she was 16 years old, she got hit by that 16th Street mall bus, and they came to Denver. They didn't even go to the hotel room she was staying in. They came to Denver to go talk to an attorney, file paperwork as quick as they can. Took 10 grand and left when she had a $1 billion lawsuit against the city of Denver. All she had to do is not tell her parents, and she would have been fine. But she told them. Didn't even say a word to her. Didn't even visit her. Didn't care that she might be paralyzed for life. Came, got the money left.
But she was doing them webcam shows, and she talks about that stuff in front of Gabriel all the time. About, she doesn't talk about her days as a prostitute or nothing to him, but she talks about, a lot of that other stuff.
You mean when she left me and decided to go be a call girl for 6 months?
Yeah.
Or back to being a call girl for 6 months, I should say.
Yep.
That's how she met your brother. It's originally being a call girl.
Yep.
Yep. She fucking left me. Got with what was his face? I can't even remember his name now. Was supposedly my friend, but got pregnant, and he left her like fucking dropped her like nothing. And she was like, came back to me and was like, "Will you raise this child?" Blah blah. I was like, "No." She's like, "Well, let me raise this child." I was like, "You can go raise that child by yourself. That's your fucking." No, I'm not going to really raise a child when you're a prostitute. She's like, "Well, will you help me pay for the abortion and then give me another child?" And for some reason, I'm a sucker. Always was in love with that girl.
Yeah, that's kind of what Ken's up to. I mean, he committed a lot of felonies for her. He was always real nice to me, but he was committing felonies the whole time I was there, and he was being nice to me because I had money. And then, like, when Natalie died, like right before Natalie died.
Please don't use that word. It makes it sound like dirty. Like things that we do that don't harm others, I don't consider crimes at all, really. I mean, back just a little bit more than 100 years ago, the things that are felonies used to be sold in general stores and people could carry in like.
Well, they still sell it.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, most of the medications that we take today do contain methamphetamines, but the whole problem,
dietary aids, foods, all sorts of shit.
Yep. The whole issue that I had there was like right before Natalie was killed, Ken and Leah, they took my money. They were supposed to get some stuff that's supposed to help with autism. I had this list of stuff that I thought this list was stuff that I was supposed to buy with my settlement money. It turned out that it was just a recommendations list, but one of them was the Oculus Rift, and so I bought that, and the Oculus Rift wouldn't work with the stuff on my computer. So Ken was going to take that back and get the money back for it, and he did. He took it back, but he didn't give me the money back. Right. And they were supposed to get supplies. They were supposed to, because I'd fucked up my foot and my back was fucked up, and I was using a cane, and my car was broke down. It was over at their other property, and so they were supposed to buy my food and my cigarettes and stuff.
Remember, that's how where I met you after you got kicked out.
Well, I don't know. Right after that, I got hit in the head a lot. There's a lot of stuff like the first month or two after that that really messed my head up. But that was 2017, the end of 2017 and early 2018. So you might be thinking about when Rabbit got kicked out of there for having sex with that redheaded chick.
Well, I got hit in the head really hard too with a moose bone in Utah, and I got a hole in my head, and I never did go to the doctor. Actually, I was scheduled to go see the doctor yesterday, and forgot again because I don't have the photographic memory I used to.
Yep, idiotic.
I forget to write things down because I'm used to the youthful me, remembering everything.
Yep.
Including a debt that you had 10 years ago. So yeah, things aren't the same.
but that's a lot of what I had to deal with. But they were gonna pay me back. Ken promised to pay me back on December 8th, and on December 8th he didn't pay me back, and I didn't have anywhere else to go. All of my money at that point, I'd already realized that I needed to move back here to low income in Chapel, and I still could have done so, but I didn't have any money. And I was still getting assaulted when I was going to Boulder and having my life threatened. And it all culminated the day after Christmas when Ken and Leah were screaming at me in the kitchen. I was like, hey, I need that money. I haven't been able to take care of myself. You didn't buy the food that you were gonna. The money that you wanted for weed, you didn't fucking share that weed with me. And the only reason that I was smoking weed is because it's just really stressful being around Leah.
Right, 'cause she's a fucking, all she cares about is herself, and she makes drama. She's got to get a little bit more. You give her so much, and she's got to figure out how to scam just a little bit more out of you.
Yep.
To everyone but her own lover. I never understood. I'm like, Leah, we have plenty. We have so much money. We're probably the richest people out of all of our friends. We help our friends. Like, why do you still got to try to get over on them? Why can't you just let me give them better prices? Free weed, whatever.
Well, that's the thing with the hats. They
She'd
were.
be like, yeah, give them free weed, and then she'd bum half of it back.
She smokes more than anybody I know.
Understand.
She literally smokes more weed than anybody I know.
I gave her an eighth, a quarter a day in the end, a quarter ounce a day to her head. She barely shared any of it. She smoked all of it to her head.
Well, that was.
It was the only way I could get her to stop doing meth, dude. When we first met, and then just continued on. So after, I didn't use meth until she left. I had to understand why she was that way, and then I understood. I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. I didn't understand all those years that we were together.
I could never get addicted to it.
Tweakers out of Boulder back then.
Yep. See, that's something that a lot of people don't know about the homeless. Like, we scare off the tweakers and we scare off the child molesters.
Yeah, but it's not like that anymore, dude. It's not everywhere now.
Officer Ramos is gone. He used to come down and let us know who the child molesters were.
Yeah, he did. I did rescue missions with him a couple times.
Yep.
He was there last time I was there.
Yeah, he ended up with cancer.
As a sergeant.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got cancer. He's not with the police anymore. And Jenny Paddock,
how's
she
your
moved to
brother
a different
doing, though?
one.
Like, he's kind of fucking lost his mind, eh?
He's all strung out on meth. I mean, I haven't seen him. Yep, the last time I saw him was at my grandma's funeral. That was a big fucking mess right there. My mom was busy complaining the whole time that she wanted normal kids. I'm like, you chose drugs over your kids. Like, yeah, you're not going to have normal kids. We grew up in the system. We grew up getting raped and getting beaten and being drugged. And yeah, you don't get to have normal kids. But yeah, he's pretty strung
I've had
out.
all three of my kids taken from their baby mamas. Like, at least with the third one, I never even met him.
I don't have any kids. I've only had sex twice my whole life.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just gross. I mean, that's not saying that it's not okay for other people to like sex. I mean, if you're, I think it's okay. I have to have a connection with somebody to be able to.
I thought it was gross after breaking up with Mia for a while, but no, I don't think it's gross at all.
Yeah, I have to have an emotional connection in order to have that kind of physical arousal, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I don't anymore. I did. I thought, I don't know, Leah used to be a lot different. She was with me on helping people, and then something in her died. Oh, the fact that I wouldn't give her direct cash. I was like, I buy you whatever you need. If you want some cash, go get a job. Go get a part-time job. You don't even have to work full-time. Work 10 hours a week and you'll have money. I'm like, I give you weed, I give you food, I give you concerts, ecstasy, fucking a roof over your head. I buy you whatever the fuck you ask for when we go out on the weekends. I need the money to keep going and reinvest. So no, I can't give you money. I can give you everything that money's good for. And for some reason, that was the end of it. Like, that's what killed us, is that I wouldn't actually give her the cash to squander away on useless crap too, because she's a hoarder.
Yeah, she
which
is.
Why I didn't want to give her money.
The day that we had our argument, it was over her spending my money to buy drugs, buy weed, and buy stuff over the internet that she didn't fucking need.
I think it's so funny that most people don't realize that, like, because a lot of people in Boulder have only seen me homeless. They don't remember me owning a house and doing a bunch of outreach and pretty much controlling the drug trade at one point, the hippie drug trade. We kept everything else out.
Yep. See, I remember all the enforcers down there when people would come in with meth, there'd be Tigger there telling them you can't bring that in here, or there'd be Ash telling them you can't bring that in here. They fucking killed Ash.
Oh my God, because he turned into a sovereign citizen.
The police shot him at the Boulder hospital.
I told him that was going to happen. I was like, you're foolish. You're giving up all your rights. And if that doesn't work, they're going to kill you, bro. Like, they're going to label you a terrorist. I warned him.
Yep. He rescued me more than once from alcoholics, He knocked one dude's teeth right out of his fucking head for trying to assault me. He's like, dude, you don't fuck with Sean, all right? He don't fuck with nobody. He's peaceful. He fucking looks out for everybody. You leave him the fuck alone.
Oh, yeah. We try to look out for people. I mean, we did that with Dwarf, too, and Mountain.
Yeah. Dwarf moved to California. He was living in Humboldt for a while.
Well, he moved where Mountain is. He lives at, actually, I know exactly where he is. He's at the Willetts Trailer Park, 3 miles south of Willetts, California, on Highway 101.
Yeah, I'd like to go
Bailey
see
still
him.
Goes out there every once in a while.
I miss the shit out of him. I ain't seen Mountain in forever either.
Mountain's dead. He died last year. Doing what he loves, selling acid and on oxygen. He was on oxygen for a long time. Monkey actually moved out to that trailer park for a while, and because he got an inheritance from when his mom died, he cleaned up. He was good for a minute, and then now he lives with
Lori Burles, or not Burles, Lori
Roberts.
Yep, that's her.
They live in Arizona.
They moved back to Colorado.
I keep by them when I'm supposed to go, but yeah, their parents, they're cleaned up.
Well, they moved back to Colorado. They got back on the meth.
Oh God, why?
Yep. It's tough. Shit, you know how it is. You get fucking addicted to that shit. It grabs a hold of your whole life.
I'm not saying on the meth. I'm saying, why would you want to do it in Colorado? This is like, you end up homeless with nothing, and you're gonna lose the kid.
That already happened, I believe.
I mean, at least here it's so cheap to live that my rent is $50 a week, and I'm not feeding. Out there, it's I don't know, the meth's different too.
Yeah, the meth, and most of the meth in northern Colorado comes from here in Nebraska. A lot of it from here in Bull County.
Not most of it. You get a lot of routes from the Mexicans, from cartel dope down south too, bro.
Yep.
Denver's the fucking center of
everything.
Drugs in the West Coast. So.
Every road goes to Denver, and that's why Boulder is so great. If you're a traveler,
trafficking to guns to drugs to.
I actually rescued Desiree from human trafficking over in Cheyenne. She was living in a trap house there.
Yeah.
I got her out of that.
Who was?
Desiree.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
So but that's not as bad as do you remember when the Triads used to run downtown and they owned 80% of all the businesses, and you had Haas and Ton. Haas was Han and Taz. Han was DJ Dragon. He always played at the church. They owned the church too. And then Ton, well, they didn't want us to sell ecstasy on their turf anymore because they controlled the methamphetamine and ecstasy trade in Denver. And they bought us a warehouse in Arvada. They didn't buy it. They rented it for 6 months, signed a 6-month lease, paid cash. Said, here you go. Here's a warehouse for you and all your DJ friends to play me, spin music, sell your ecstasy. But with this gift comes, you know, a favor that you owe, and that is you have to sell our pills. They're $1 a pill. We'll drop off 1,000 or, multiples of 1,000, whatever you want, but every 2 weeks, like, so just stagger. 1 week you gotta come up with $1,000, the next week you get 1,000 pills. It was always a different drop. But it was really weird, like, nobody else got $1 a pill. We could just name our price. It was so fucking crazy. It's like, oh yeah, what do you want to pay for a jar? 600? That sounds great. And we were sad because they got relocated. The old family sent them. My whole point to the story was they were sent to San Francisco. The turf was sold off to the Mexicans, and they had to head up human trafficking. They now head up watching shipping containers come in the bay, and make sure that the human traffickers or whoever can't even people that can't even pay to get into America are sold and money is made. It's really odd the way the Chinese do it.
Yeah, that's something that people, want to pretend like I'm full of shit. I'm like, that's the thing is that they are doing this, and it's not just foreign people though. I mean, it's American children too, and it's Mexican children, and it's these are human beings, and it's all going through Denver. Every last bit of it goes to Denver. They come up from south of the border and they go up to Denver, and then they branch off from there. It goes to Cheyenne.
I don't know if you remember Jeremy during those days. We had a warehouse that Kevin Anderson would spin there. Ben would spin there as DJ Exoteric. A bunch of DJs would go there. But Jeremy's the one that dealt with Hazatan. He was this high school teacher in Boulder. He got us all our ecstasy. Or no, I don't think he taught Boulder. He taught in Arvada, but it was just very odd that this high school teacher was in control of the trade. And our biggest custody in Denver was a federal agent for the FBI, because the FBI you can't work in your home state. Is the rule there. You can't actually work like an FBI job in where you live. So when he wasn't undercover, he sold meth and ecstasy. I'm like, what the fuck? This is bizarre, man. But yeah, I learned a lot about everything's bullshit. I never want to be that big again. Like, it's constantly being pushed into one gang or another, having to be affiliated with something or another. People died because of what we did. Like, indirectly, people have died. People have been pretty much murdered over stupid shit, ecstasy and methamphetamine. Yeah, too much pot.
That's something that Natalie was really into, was the heroin and the methamphetamines. Her dad too. I'm not sure if you knew her dad, Ted Bollinger. He used to be a barber up there at the up on the hill. That barber shop that had the buffalo logo outside.
That's the barber shop I used to always go to.
Yep. Well, they were selling.
My first job was Fatty J's in the little food court across the street from there.
Yep.
My first job in Boulder.
He was one of the major dealers there. I mean, he was selling out of the back of that place left and right. That's
when I first was doing that. I had the manager's key to the arcade. I had the key to the safe and the key to the manager's office. When I'd go have people call me in to re-up, I'd go in the manager's office. They'd be like, "Where you going, dude? The arcade's off limits." I'm like, "Yeah, there's a reason the arcade's off limits. Follow me." Yep. And we just go in the manager's office. They're like, "You got the manager's key?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah." They're like, "Does the manager have a key?" Fuck no, they don't. I'm the only one that has a key to this office.
Well, Ted was selling his daughters to pay off some of his drug debts, and he had them selling drugs down at the library when they were 13 years old. Like, this dude he was fucking his own kids, you know? I mean, shit. How do you think that, stuff is bad, and then you encounter somebody like that and you realize how bad things really are, you know?
Dude, because it's like right at this frontier land where like the inbred redneck Bible thumpers meet the inbred redneck fucking Mormons, and they collide, and it's a very bizarre place, Sean. It's a very bizarre place. That's what I've seen there. On the western slopes, you've got a lot of Mormons, and over on the foothills, you got Bible thumpers. They get together and they make oddity. They make us.
They make you look good. But yeah, that's a lot of the stuff that, like, I was trying to get a lot of people safe from those situations, and right before Natalie died, like, I hurt my back moving a gun lathe, and after that, sorry, train. After I hurt my back, the cops fucking trains.
Dude, I think Rachel Day, I think Gypsy's on there. I think my lover's on there. She was supposed to be on that train going to Chicago.
Oh, this is a freight train.
I know.
Oh, you're right. North Platte.
Train,
you're
Sean.
right. You're right. I shouldn't have been talking to you like you're ignorant. That was the wrong thing to say. I know. But yeah, this one's. It sounds like it's going westbound though. Let me see. Yeah, it's westbound. But yeah, that rail yard in North Platte, I forgot about that. But
well, no, she would have been coming if she was going to Chicago. She would have been coming from Oakland because she lives in Redwood City now. She's from Philly. Her dad's the president of the Pagans Biker Club out there in Philadelphia. My dad's Italian, and they run the police department.
Yeah,
that's another reason Gabriel should come here. Is our whole family is our cops. We can't get busted here. We have immunity.
Well, he doesn't really care about the drugs.
I know he doesn't.
That's probably the best thing about him.
He's had a medical card since he was 12. It doesn't even phase him.
Yeah.
I hitchhiked. I hitchhiked for like 3 months straight. Couldn't get a ride for the life of me. Had to hitchhike from California all the way back to New York because I didn't have any money or a car, and nobody wanted to go to New York. So I could get my ID to go back to Denver so that they could give him his card in time. That was fucking an epic journey.
Yep. They try to feed it to him. He usually tells them no. I mean, I never saw him say yes, but I think they've been dosing his food and stuff.
With CBD or with weed?
I don't know actually. I do know that they were talking about doing it.
Like, people don't understand why I don't smoke weed anymore. It doesn't do the same thing. Like, I don't know. Certain strains, it's got to be the right strain, like sour diesel, real sour diesel, or real train wreck, or.
It makes me friendly.
Other strains make me fucking psychotic, dude. They make me trip out. They make me. Make me have psychosis, and I'm sure it's even worse for Gabriel because he seems to have it a little harder, a little more intensely. Or maybe I just have never realized how intense I've had it.
Yeah, I know they were talking about, slipping it into his food and stuff because he wouldn't take it, but I don't know if they ever actually did. I just know they were talking about it. I don't want to, go out there and say absolutely that I knew for sure that they were, because I don't know for certain. I definitely don't.
I haven't seen him since he was like 15, bro. He doesn't talk to me. He finally talked to me this winter, and I think it was probably because he wanted a video game or something for Christmas, because I quit sending him money. Here's the thing: when I lived on the Western Slopes, he stabbed his teacher. He didn't want nothing to do with me. I had paid for a cell phone for him and an Xbox Live account, and got him an Xbox for 6 months. And I would call and go visit, and most of the time he would skip out on his visits. And all I asked is that if he didn't want to see me, he just call me once a month, and just let me know how he's doing, or text me. And he wouldn't. So I was like, well, then I'm not spending any more money on you.
I was there when the phone that you sent him got there.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever hooked that up, but I'm not sure. I don't know about all that. I just remember.
They sent a card, like I hooked it up. He had it service. If they didn't turn it on, then they're just swag.
No, it's Ken and Leah.
Well, still, that's why I got him an Xbox account that they didn't know about, so he could fucking use that, and he could game with me.
He was always asking me to game with him. Anything that you sent to Gabriel, they screened first.
Screened for what?
Just
I think I'm gonna do something stupid to my own child. I'm gonna fucking murder these people. I can't wait until Gabriel's gone. Well, I can't do anything while he's alive, I guess. But no, I've contemplated for years on how I'm gonna torture Ken and Leah, and how I'm gonna be a human trafficker myself.
With Ken and Leah?
Worse than the Saw. I'm gonna torture them too. Very slowly. I'm gonna enjoy it.
I'm against that kind of stuff. I think that them going to prison and having to sit that shit out would probably serve a better example. But I also know the rules out here on the streets. You don't talk to cops.
They're not gonna go to prison. They've got the church on their side.
Yeah, she's been saying that a bit.
Because of Andrea. They still do the cop drive every year with the cops. They'd have to really step it up a notch, start selling heroin or something. But
I don't think they'll ever mess with heroin. That's something they're both against.
Successfully brainwash Gabriel into staying with them so they could squander more of his money, then we're all doomed. Because I'm gonna probably go to jail myself. Like, I've had enough. I can't take it anymore.
Well, he definitely don't want to be there. He makes that perfectly clear. Last I knew, he had this fantasy about he realizes it's just a fantasy, but he wants to get into a spaceship and mine rocks.
Some screenshots of what I sent him, because it's the first time I've ever actually sent a Facebook to my son. A, and B, it shows you what I was trying to do. Oh God, do I gotta go back to drug dealing now? Not tonight. Well, listen, where are you at? I'm at home, Judd. Oh, that was an hour ago. I didn't even hear the ding. Okay, but that's not why I got on here. I'm gonna look up these messages just to show you it. I want him to come home. This is where he should have been raised. We lived here for 10 months. She was gonna leave and take my son with her back to Boulder, whether I wanted her to or not. Like, I had no help from my parents while I was here. That's why my mom gave me the house, because enough was enough. I quit talking to her for 5 years, and she was like, "You don't have to talk to me, but will you at least come and sign this paperwork? I got divorced, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, huh. Now, let me find this message. It's probably down here, Miss. Let's see what it is. Oh, yeah, there's a search bar up top. He calls himself Gabe. That's funny, because Leah always swore up and down, nobody better ever call him Gabe, but his Facebook name is Gabe Plunkett. I guess he doesn't like using my last name.
I don't know. I think that's just the way that they raised him. Is that his last name is Plunkett.
His full name is Gabriel Phoenix Bostaff Plunkett. Plunkett Bostaff Pearson.
That is a long fucking name.
Here, choose Plunkett. Huh?
I said that is a long
Yeah,
fucking
it's a
name.
really long name. It doesn't even fit on anything. It doesn't even fit. I think it fits on the original hospital birth certificate, and that was it.
Well, I really.
She named Andrea. I have to take a couple screenshots here. I can remember how to do it. Down and home button, I believe.
Yeah, I had to have somebody teach me how to do that. I couldn't figure it out on my own.
Power and home button.
On the phone that I have, it's the power and the volume down button. But
it's the last combination that I was about to do. Thank you so much for that.
Yep. Somebody else had to teach me how to do it, so it's good. There's also a lot of stuff that like people don't understand the terminology because they've never lived the life. So like you say stuff that they just don't understand. Like if I say neurotypical, people are like, "What the fuck is that?" Or if I say, like when I tell people I have Asperger's, a lot of times they're like, "Well, I don't know what the fuck that is," and then I tell them that it's a form of autism, and then they just automatically assume retarded. Like, no, I got an IQ of 172. I'm not retarded. Retarded means slowed down. I mean, the smartest person in Russia has Down syndrome. The people that most commonly get treated that way are people who are autistic, people with Down syndrome, and people with cerebral palsy.
Right.
Whereas it's really the neurotypicals who are the dummies. But you can't really teach a dummy not to be a dummy. They're a dummy because they're a dummy. They assume that they know better than everybody else, and they're so dumb that they'll just sit rock hard on it.
Oh, like Leah. Lisa.
Yeah.
You know her name's Lisa, right?
Yep. I did know that.
We're still married. I offered to sign divorce paperwork, and neither one of them cared.
Well, I know Ken's against marriage. He also is pretty paranoid.
Why? Because he used to be married.
Yeah, I think he's still legally married, but I'm not sure. But yeah, he's real paranoid of getting married.
Sent his own kids away to abuse mine.
Yeah. Well, the lady
Leah said that if she had to be around 5 kids, she would leave. Oh my god, like I would never do that. That's why I can never respect Ken. How could you send your own kids away and take mine away from me?
Well, his ex lives in New Jersey, and he didn't want to do that. Like he was really.
Yeah, but he had full custody at first.
Well, that's the thing is that when they were walking over, I mean, your daughter left a stain in the road, and they had to walk over that to school every day, and it really fucked their heads up. So he really didn't want to send them away, especially since his ex she's a really hardcore addict. But he's been paying her rent.
Kids away before my daughter ever died, bro. Don't get that thought way out of your head.
Well, they told me a different story.
Came and visited afterwards, but no.
Yeah, they told me a different story.
Away when Andrea was a baby, and not baby, but like a toddler.
I do remember them coming down and visiting me at Starbucks a couple of times. But that was probably on a visit, I guess, because like the story that they told me was that Ken's
That's when
kids.
She first started selling pills. I remember now. She'd get them for her back. That was her hustle.
Yeah.
Because nobody would sell her weed because of me. Because I wouldn't let them. I had warrants. I couldn't even go back to Boulder at the time. Come to find out, the warrants were dropped because they decriminalized. Huh.
She definitely has a lot of power and control issues, but she can't physically fight with Gabriel, and neither could I, for that matter. I mean, I screwed
That's
up
why
my
he was
back
supposed
pretty
to come
good.
live with me when he was 15, 16, but
Well,
apparently the teachers can't handle him either, so
Ken
I can handle him.
doesn't punch him or anything, but Ken looks for any excuse he can to take Gabriel down to the ground and yell in his ear. You
Yeah,
know, it's
I
a pretty
noticed.
fucked up situation. I'm hoping when the thing is,
I'd love to see him try to take me down to the ground. Gutter punk out in the street for how many fucking years? Train rider.
God, he's probably like a buck
All
20
around
soaking wet
backpacker.
though.
That boy is fucking just been a junkie for 20 years. I whoop the fucking brakes off his. But I'm trying not to be violent. I mean, I see these things. I probably never will. I'll just let them be junkies the rest of their lives if I can have my son. But I'm serious about going and like burning their house down. I don't think Gabriel, I don't know, needs to see that. I don't know what else to do. If they already took his youth. They can't have the rest of his life too.
Well, Leah wants to. She wants to have complete control over him when he turns 18. She's already.
No, she
When I
doesn't. She
was
wants
there,
the money.
well,
If they
that's the
could
thing
kill
is
and
that
bury him and just get the money for the rest of their lives, she'd do that.
that's the thing is that when he turns 18, if she's able to get that paperwork, then they will give her money for the rest of his life.
No, that just makes her a payee. They can still change who the payee is if they find out the payee is abusing the privilege.
Yep, which she
Payees are
has
still
been.
supposed to be using the money. It's even harder once you're a payee than just a parent. Because as a payee, you have to keep receipts that show that you're spending it on the person you're in care of.
Does she know that?
My aunt's a payee from my cousin. Probably not. She's probably too stupid to realize it.
She's not that bright. I'll give you that.
No. Her scams are so translucent.
Well, she makes a lot of money with those hats. I mean, she's able to get by with because they have the top that comes off of them. So
I
that's where she
thought
stuffs the
that was
drugs.
great when she showed me the hats and the jewelry that she'd make and her little jewelry tree that she hangs stuff on. I was like, man,
I made
finally
that.
doing cool shit.
I made that jewelry tree. I also made the ribbon rack, and I also made
she said
the
Ken made
bench
it.
in there.
Of course you made it. She told me Ken made it.
Nope, he didn't.
Huh. She won't even talk to me still to this day. She's convinced everyone that I've abused her and raped her and all this shit. Never happened, Sean.
See, she never told me that you raped her. She at one point in time the way that she was talking about you, at one point in time the way she was talking about you, I actually asked. I was like, "You're fucking making him sound like a rapist. If he did that shit, fucking let me know. You know, I'll fucking turn his ass in." And she's like, "No, he's not that kind of a guy." So she told me different, but that's the thing is that was while I was living there. Anything that she said afterwards, especially with the shit that she was doing with Gabriel, like, yeah, that's I can believe that. She's
I
a
did
very
hit her a
twisted
couple
person.
times, Sean, but it was more like I think I hit her in the leg once. I pushed her down on the ground. But, I mean, we're talking about a woman that would come after me with fucking cast iron pans, knives, broke shelves over my head. Like, the little couple things that I did to her that caused me to get the domestic violence charges are so stupid.
But you're a man. You're not allowed to defend yourself.
Right?
That's something that I'm having a severe issue with because I've taken a lot of abuse at the hands of both men and women, but they also have the mentally ill tag that they threw on me. So if I defend myself, I'm automatically wrong no matter what. Like I don't get to defend myself. I don't
think
get to
the charge
speak
that
up.
I actually got put on probation for was when I threw a glass of juice against the wall.
Yep.
And the case I was fighting when she falsely, her and Sean, when Sean, who she ran away with to Texas, they falsely reported that I broke into the house, that I was was selling cocaine, that I did cocaine on the baby's changing table, that I took the kids and ran out of the house. No, Gabriel was fucking climbing out of the balcony, trying to see me. So he heard that I was there. I was calling for her because it was supposed to be the day that she took Andrea and the day I took Gabriel, and we were going to live in separate places. I had a place already lined up. She had the place that she was at. And I went in there. I was like, dude, give me my son. Like, they were all knotted out on pills in my bed. And Sean, I had just spent thousands of dollars taking him to California, taking him on a vacation. He's supposed to be my best friend. He's in bed with my fucking old lady. And they made up this story that that ran into the house, that I fucking slammed Gabriel onto the floor, and I was whipping him around. I threatened Sean with a knife, even though he's the one that threatened me with a knife. Said, "You're not taking the kid." And I took the knife from him and stuck it in the wall. Next time it's going to fucking throw. But because Gabriel had saw me, he was wide awake. The balcony door was open, and he was sticking his head through the fucking railings, and he was like, he was gonna fall, dude. I ran up as quick as I could because I was told, the police did tell me not to be there that day, but I had to. He could have gotten hurt severely, and they didn't care. They were just passed out, knotted out. So I took them, and the cops arrested me. And she went away, but I refused to quit smoking weed. And so after 6 months of rescheduling every month after month, they go, "Oh, well, now we have 17 counts of you violating the conditions of probation, and that's 17 felonies. So we can either charge you with those, or you can plead guilty to the domestic violence." Because I thought I won. I was like, it's been 6 months. She's not here. There's nobody, there's no case. And they're like, "You're right. There's no domestic violence case. There's now felony cases again for you violating." I'm like, "For smoking weed?" And they're like, "Yeah, smoking weed's illegal." And I was like, "You'll do anything to keep your conviction rate, won't you?"
And they will.
And that's when I, within months, I got involved with Catfish and Lizzie, and I just fucking went from the weed trade right into the methamphetamine trade, because I had to know why Leah's the way she is.
Well, I helped out Catfish. Me, Catfish, and Biggin had a kitchen camp up there at 37.5 for a while. But them alcoholics
before y'all did that.
Do what?
Because they were still living in Boulder and had an apartment. Catfish was freaking quarter ounces for like $90 back when they were $100 is like $150 a ball. That's fucking crazy.
You remember when they were living in the trailer over there? Over by the self-storage?
No, I was gone. I was gone by then. I had fucking violated my probation by then and left. And I had those warrants for years. I didn't come back for years. Because it had already been 6 months. I didn't know where Leah was. And I said, "I'll come back when she comes back." And I did. 5 years later, she showed up in Boulder and said, "I'm back. If you want to come help me with these kids, you should get here." And I did. And I went and turned myself in just to find out that I didn't even have the warrants anymore.
Yeah,
Which didn't make any sense, because I definitely violated probation, but they just dropped it. No, I did. That's right. I did 33 days in jail. And then she still refused to see me. Nobody would tell me where she was, so I spent another year trying to find her, end up on another charge on probation. Yada, yada, yada. I don't know. Every time I've gone back, it's been bad. I can never get people back together to do like we had. Never any community like we had again. It's all just fuck, dude. It's all been tainted, it's rotten, it's no good, and I hate it. I hate that they made Gabriel live there his whole life down in Inglewood.
Yeah, they did a bunch of fucked up shit to me, and they broke the law repeatedly across jurisdictional boundaries. They charged me with crimes in the wrong jurisdictions. They stole evidence. They falsified evidence, omitted evidence. I mean, the cops there are just bad. Like, the actual criminals they let go.
They used to be our friends, our allies at once upon a time.
I remember that.
Trujillo. Trujillo was always our enemy.
Yeah, Trujillo's their internal affairs officer. He's one of their internal affairs now for the Boulder County
Casey can
Sheriff.
never work in the field. Casey fucking gird his ass, dude. Gird his ass. Because Trujillo, when he was still a rookie, he used to hang out behind the arcade and he would rob the kids. He would straight at gunpoint rob you of your drugs and steal your drugs and resell them. So we sent Casey in with, 100,000 hits of acid and he fucking smeared it all over. He was wearing gloves. He smeared it on Trujillo. He smeared it on he had even more on the fucking door handles. He locked himself, like they told to do. He realized he was tripping. He locked himself to the car. Then he was a bike cop for like 2 years. And then he didn't see him. He worked at a desk or something. But he'll never see the field again. Like, we fucked that cop up.
He's a crooked cop. See, a lot of people, they want to do that vigilante justice thing, and I think the American public needs to know how crooked these fucking porkers are.
Yeah.
Like, they really support a lot of illegal activities on the part of police officers, including the human trafficking, and everybody knows that the cops are involved in that.
My father's a police officer, so I know.
There's got to be a way to do something about it, though. Everybody's afraid. Like, so many people let me know how scared they are.
There is. Start arming ourselves and start shooting.
And see, that's
got to be all of us.
That's the only option that actually works, and that's what sucks. Is I'm against killing.
But it's never going to happen. So might as well just forget about it.
I'm against killing
China will
people.
kill us with corona white Lyme virus.
They might. They definitely might.
China's actually blaming us for it, saying that we're the ones that released it over there.
Well, that's because it's an American virus. We hold a patent on the coronavirus.
Right.
So, like, yeah, China, and that makes perfect sense. I mean,
The only reason that it was released, that it came here, was because on that one cruise ship, there was a senator, and he had kind of immunity and had way more pull and sway, and was able to get that boat into LA, or no, New York. I mean, sorry, wrong. And yeah, that's how it spread. Fucking senator.
God bless America, right?
Yeah. Now there's 80,000 cases of it. It's actually spreading worse here.
Yeah, and that makes
starting
sense
to pan
too.
out in China because it's still just a cold. It's just like a common cold virus. It's gonna go away.
Yep, it's actually a viral pneumonia, but yeah, it does go away. Your body your immunities eventually fight it off, and then you're good.
Well, I'm saying it's just gonna just like any other flu. We'll never get sick by it. We ate out too many dumpsters. I've had 5 different forms of giardia. I've had every illness you could think of. I mean, I had hepatitis won't even take.
See, when I tell people I used to eat out of dumpsters, people are like, "Will you eat this? Will you eat this? Will you eat this?" Because a lot of people with autism, they have texture issues where they won't eat stuff or whatever. And I'm like, "Well, shit, I used to eat out of dumpster slime. I'll fucking eat that. Hell yeah."
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of picky again. Well, I'm more picky because not out of eating out of dumpsters, but I don't eat carbs anymore. I try not to.
No bread?
It makes you tired, and there's too much corn syrup in that shit.
Yep. A lot of them starches to do that. Like they tried to diagnose me when I was in Virginia. They tried diagnosing me with diabetes. I was like, I don't have diabetes. I had boot rot. I was also severely dehydrated at the time.
You know what drives me nuts? So I haven't lived in Oklahoma yet, but I spent some time over in Malvern, Arkansas, working for AT&T. I spent some time up in Springfield. Spent some time over in Lebanon. Can't call it Lebanon; they'll get pissed. And every county pretty much has a different twang to it. I guess the same spurt over here in New York, though. We got the same thing going on here, but it's just I think it's so weird. I'll get used to talking a certain way when I'm in Arkansas, and I'll get because you inevitably draw the twang into you like wherever you're at.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
already back
chameleon.
in my New York kind of voice again.
You go chameleon. That's Asperger's trait, actually. They also, it's also called masking. It's also called. There's like 5 or 6 different names that they use for it, and that's the whole dialect thing. It's regional. Like a lot of stuff that
That's why they
people.
never. Do you know one time they locked me up for I think it was some stupid charge, some weed charge or paraphernalia. And they put me into the office and they started asking questions. They're like, you know Hobbs, you know Casey, you know this person, that person, when we were all real big. And they're like, well, who we're really trying to get to is the person that controls all this. But we're trying to get to Jayhawk. And they had me arrested as Jason Pearson. And I was like, oh yeah, I think I met that guy. Doesn't he like I was like, but you know, he don't talk to me. I'm not big enough to hang out with that dude. Like he's big time. I think he lives in Lakewood or something. I'm like, they're trying to get me to narc on myself now. This is too much.
Well, the good thing is with the statute of limitations, they can't go after you for that stuff anymore.
Oh no, no. Well, dude, what's his name? Remember when we knew the sheriff of Boulder County? His brother would come down. He always bought like an ounce of weed off of me. Gave him the discount price. I forget what he called, DP or Doopy or. But he would come down and warn us when they do the sweeps all the time. They told us that they wanted us to keep selling hallucinogens and pot because it attracted the students to go to school there, and that's where most of their economy came from. So
Yep.
we had to deal with them that keep the hard drugs out. That's why we were so adamant about keeping the hard drugs out.
And I
And
remember Catfish talking
Nobody
about that
ever got
too.
busted, dude.
Like that was one of the
Nobody
big things
ever
with
got
Catfish.
busted.
He's
We were
like,
all rich.
we provide a service here. The cops leave us alone because this is what the college kids come here for. They come here to party. They come here for because we don't have the hard drugs here. It's just the hallucinogens and weed, and people come to Boulder for the weed. That's what these college kids are specifically here for. And you got all these Midwest farmers' daughters from all over the place that they're from small towns and they move to Boulder and they go to college there. And like, yeah, that was one of Catfish's big sell points when he was there.
I'm the one that fronted him his first ounce, bro. I trusted him because he was a Denver fucking street kid. Like, nobody will give me work. Look at me. Would you give me work? I'm like, yeah. I give everybody a shot. He goes, well, I don't want just like a quarter or your eighth. I'm like, no, I'll give you an ounce of weed. Here's the thing,
I knew him before his
so
facial
you scum
tattoos.
fucks down there, if you rip me off, I sell your debt. You know what I sell your debt for? Nothing at all. I give your debt away. Whoever wants to go collect it, they can keep the money. So, you rip me off, you're going to have your own kind coming after you. I
Yep.
would suggest not ripping me off.
It's the same way now. I mean, that part hasn't changed. There was the no jacking policy for a while.
From getting robbed and kept our kids from getting robbed. I'm like, instead of robbing us, how about I do this? I'll give you the debt, of whoever's ripping us off. I'll give you that debt. If they ripped us off $2,000, I want you to go retrieve that money and keep it. Do whatever you want with it.
And see, that's one of the that's not the only reason I never sold.
Died because of the things that we've done. Because the scumfucks took it way out of proportion. And people started showing up in dumpsters. It wasn't necessarily because of squat, bro. It was because people
taking it overboard.
They'd come into town and just like start pocket checking people before like it was even time to pay and shit. Like it was getting crazy. Too much.
Yeah, that's why Tigger was fucking all crazy, and that's why he left. He's like, dude, it's getting fucking. And like, all right, when the juggalos came in with all that heroin, like that really is where everything went south. And nobody was checking the juggalos, nobody at all. They were just running
I think I was
rampant.
already gone by then. I left because that was after the when Taz or Tay put the wrong batch of Orange Julias out there. I mean, Stephen Table got some fucking. He owns about 80% of the developments Boulder. The mayor's daughter. I mean, little kids, babies. And here's the thing: it all came down. That was a Sunday. That's when we used to have drum circles at the courthouse lawn, the old courthouse there on Pearl Street. And they were all tripping out. And they're like, "We want to live like you. We want to be with you, like this and that." And we were all sober. And the old timers, I think it was the fucking Montana Mud guy. What's his name? Steve-O, Babo. I'm bad with names these days, Sean.
Me too.
You know,
I was always
Mama
bad with
Bear.
them.
Mama Bear's kind of on and getting off, getting boyfriend. The elder hippies.
Yeah, the guy with with the walking stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like throwing fire on these guys and like screaming at them and going crazy and like, but they were tripping out. They just wanted to hang out with us and like enjoy the jump circle and like he went nuts. Like didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, it's a fucked up place too. I mean, the Boulder City Council, they don't care what the people vote for. They do what they want. What the people vote for doesn't matter.
Well,
It
Boulder
wasn't
was
just the
founded up
fracking.
by hippies that fucking came there to like get the herbs for tea, like celestial seasonings and shit before the college ever was there. People, it was like hippie commune. So like all these rich people that had land, they're new money. You know, that's why we got away with so much. They're like, oh, we don't care if some fucking kids come and sell weed and drugs here. Leave them alone. But then meth invaded finally. Once we all got busted after that acid incident, and there was no more money to retrieve for us, started moving in the meth.
The myth is
Heroin.
what killed it. That's for damn sure. Like that destroyed the whole town. That destroyed so many lives, and the cops turn a blind eye
Destroyed
to
the
it.
whole country, bro. Because after that happened, it wasn't just there. It spread to every small town to big city there is. This is my hometown. This is normally a place where I come to get away from it, and it's everywhere here, everywhere.
Well, Boulder was the last place that I was that was invaded by heroin and meth. Because I remember back in the day, like we used to run off everybody who came in with the meth. We're like, yeah, this ain't your town, bro. You got to get on that bus and you need to go back to wherever you come from.
Yeah.
And like when I was in Washington State, shit, I lived there when that was in like the early mid '90s.
Some of
Heroin
us
had
wouldn't even
already
go
taken
down to
over there.
freaking the little 5 Points. This was before they fucking turned it into their little hippie shop when it was actually dangerous to go down there.
I remember 5 Points.
Get a hotel and get fucked up. It's like, okay, I want to get fucked up. That's dirty shit. Let's go to Denver.
Shit, 5 Points probably the best place to get shot back then.
Yeah.
And you try explaining to people, about 5 Points, and they're like, "Oh no, dude, that's a nice fucking neighborhood." I'm like, "Oh, now."
Yeah, it used to be.
But then,
I remember when Melissa and Hannah moved down there, and with Jason before Jason went to jail. That's my first time experiencing what selling methamphetamine was like. This dude had got furloughed. He got his third strike. He was about to go life in prison, but they furloughed him for 2 months to take care of his family and say goodbye to his kids, his babies. That motherfucker drove me around Denver, places that I never wanted to see or go before. He had this toolbox and softball size fucking kilos of fucking methamphetamine full to the brim. Like he must have had like 30 of them. He's like, this is everything I got left. I gotta sell all of this to make college money for my kids and make sure that my wife and kids have money for when I go in. I'm like, damn, bro. I wonder whatever happened to all that money. I bet it's still in an account somewhere because I don't think Melissa and Hannah quite knew how much Jason really had. Yeah, I did because he made me go with him. He's like, "Didn't you used to date Melissa? And you're like best friends with Hannah and stuff. Like, you're coming with me." And I didn't have a choice. I was like, "Holy fuck, this is a lot." He's like, "You don't have to worry about it. I'm already going to jail for life. They're gonna leave me alone." I'm like, "Okay, but I'm not."
That's a good point to be made too. I got some good stories with Melissa and Hannah both. You should ask them about the rape whistle
They
incident.
don't talk to me anymore. They're like hoity-toity. They went through college. I never kind of cleaned up 100%, so they don't talk to me a lot.
I passed out rape whistles there for like 2 years, and the only time that the cops ever came running because somebody was blowing a whistle, Melissa blew my rape whistle on Halloween one night, and yeah, we had like 8 police cruisers stop all at once. That was the same Halloween where they were harassing me and Monkey and Rabbit and making fun of our friends and calling them bumsicles, the ones that froze to death. And that was the year they brought back the mall crawl.
Oh yeah, I remember Peace started that, where you have a group of people on each corner of each section of the Pearl Street Mall, from all the way down, by the coffee shop or the what's that grocery store called? The little one. All the way up to
Lolita's.
You'd have a person on every corner, so that way when the tourists are going through, they, "Excuse me, sir, could you possibly spare any part of whatever a hotel costs that night, so that me and my friends get out of the snow and stay warm tonight?" This was before the warming centers, and all the way down the street, same line, same everything. And
yep.
shit, not every night there was a hotel or two or three.
Fucking 10 hippies in a fucking room. Yep. I remember them days.
I always had to put up 1 or 2 people that didn't make it. Like, me and Lee always had a place. I made enough money. I always kept us indoors. But Juggalo Dave slept on my couch for years. Wind, he's a rapist now? He's in prison?
Fuck.
Wind? Yeah, he took the Dom lifestyle, that whole fetish lifestyle that Leah's really into it. I never really was. But he was like fucking 15-year-olds. I don't know if he knew it or not, but forcing him to do, well, not forcing him, it was just the whole fetish club thing. So now he's a rapist.
Some fucked up shit, that's for damn sure.
Child rapist.
See, that's the thing. Like, I know a lot of people that were into that stuff, and when I tried to tell people what was going on, like they wasn't having it. I remember when Stefan fucking had that girl scared, and she was like 14 or something, and Stefan wouldn't let her leave the hotel room. And her mom came down.
Oh, yeah,
and she's like, the cops aren't going to do anything. She came and talked to me, and when I went down there to take care of it, Rabbit had already taken care of it. He's like, Stefan.
Yeah, I sent Rabbit. I'm the one that sent Rabbit. I drove him there and was like, I'm fighting this domestic violence case. I need some help. I asked Hobbs. Hobbs had a case. I asked Casey. He had a case. David was too busy with his new company. And Juggalo Dave's actually just a pussy. So Rabbit's like, I'm on it. You're bailing me out if I go to jail? I'm like, of course, bro.
Yep. That's the thing. Like, it was different when the cops came and told us about that stuff. But when somebody's mom shows up, like, that's fucking different. That's like a whole nother level, because if they're coming down, to talk to the street folks, they've already gone to the cops or they're afraid to go to the cops.
Yeah, he had a long, long walk out of town after that. A couple of people I had to do that to, have them take the walk.
I used to have Zach Boatman help me, and most people didn't realize how schizophrenic he was. They just realized that he was big. So when I had somebody I had to get escorted out of town, I'd go get Boatman, because everybody else would get violent. If it was just
Right?
me
And we
and
wouldn't let you
Boatman,
go. We always made you go all the way down the Table Mesa way. You had to fucking hitch the 93. We'd have people in our van and working out, make sure you made it to that next truck stop and start hitching right there, man.
yep,
You got walked out of town. You got walked out of the whole fucking. No, you're not going to Denver, so you come back later. No, you're not going to Netherlands to terrorize, our growers.
yep,
You're
and
going to Golden, where people have guns and they're going to keep walking you all the way to Wintergreen. Then, or no, you got a choice to go south. Then go to Mexico, or you go to Wyoming.
yep. Oh fuck, Wyoming. Oh my god, that place is so fucking podunk. Their laws are bass backwards, and the cops there are
Wyoming
pretty
and
bad.
Montana, but that's because I fucking hate cities. Can't even stand this one.
I love
I bet
Montana.
Gabriel would like it here, though.
Montana's beautiful, and a lot of the people that I met there. Of course, I didn't hang out with a lot of white people there. I when I was there, I was at a place called Hardin, Wyoming, or Hardin,
Yeah.
Montana, and I was there for I want to say about 2 or 3 weeks back in March of 2019 or so. But
It's so peaceful, beautiful, but it's too cold in the winter.
it is
It's too cold here.
Plus, I mean, they got at least one serial killer up there, at least one, and there is no way that they can deny that. Although the FBI, every time one of those girls goes missing, the FBI is like, "Oh well, it's she died of exposure. She died of exposure." Like, holy fuck, no, these girls didn't just die of exposure. I mean, there's fucked up situations that led to them being out there. And they say, oh well, they just started walking out there because they were drunk or this, that, and the other, and it's like, no, that's not the fucking case. People are not telling the fucking truth, but they're Native Americans. Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know the truth a lot because I do a lot of rainbow gatherings, and when we accidentally went to the Black Hills thinking that was National Forest for that South Dakota gathering, should have never had to begin with. That should have been Michigan. Um, I talked to a lot of the elder grandmothers, explained a lot about medicine wheel, a lot more than I'd known before. The pretender shamans that taught me did not know anything really. But yeah, like they've actually indoctrinated us in now as as one of the tribes of the land, the rainbow.
Well, see, that's a lot of the thing about the culture up there too, though, is like they're just really inviting and loving people. And it doesn't
Kind
take
of,
much
not
for them
really.
to
I don't
treat
know.
you like
There's a lot of
family.
gang violence because of the Dakotas. They fight each other.
Yep.
They've always been kind of like yeah.
Well, with all
just in
these
their blood.
missing people, they're starting to work together because fucking white people don't give a shit. So these different nations are working together to try to put a stop to the human trafficking. They're actually starting to work together with Canada too, like a lot of the tribes up there, because Canada, is free and peace loving and great and wonderful as we like to think that it is from down here. And a lot of stuff I'm sure might be great, but they have the same issue with Native girls ending up missing and fucking law enforcement doesn't do shit. I mean, this last girl that disappeared, her name is Selena Not Afraid, and before they ever did an autopsy or a tox screen, they said that there was no foul play, and it's like, how can you say that? Like, you haven't done anything. You just found her body, and you're going to say that there's no foul play. I mean, obviously, there is foul play. And the other thing is that she was found in a place right next to where they had been searching for an entire month. They'd been searching this area. She was, a very short distance. And there were several people who were like, hey, we went by this place and she wasn't there. And then, a month later, they find her body there. Like, where was she in between all of that? You know? And Sheriff Big Hair was talking about how, he had been within 100 yards of her and, he had gone another direction instead of that direction. And, she was, it's so fucked up. And that's not even the first one. Like, there was another one the year before last where they found the girl's body, and it looked like she had been dragged into the bushes, according to the family that found her. And they were like, "No, there's no foul play there. She just died of exposure." And it's the same way they kill us in Boulder. They fucking take our blankets, make it illegal for us to use them, and fucking expensive as shit if you get busted using one, and they charge you with trespassing and all sorts of other shit for public property. And like the police kill us exactly the same way in Boulder as those girls are getting killed up there in Montana. All right, I gotta
Yeah,
use the bathroom. We've been on the phone for about 2 hours, so I'm gonna
yeah, that's
let
for
you
sure.
go. But anytime you want to call me up and talk, feel free to do so.
I'm normally pretty busy, but when it comes to my son, I will drop everything.
Yes, sir.
And
Well, that's
we do
the
talk. It probably won't be as long again. It's been fun talking, reminiscing over better times, for
yes,
sure.
sir. Will you be safe, and thank you for talking to me.
Yep, no problem.
All right. Good luck with
Bye
Gabriel.
now.
Bye.
Yeah.
How the fuck do I hang this thing up? My phone has a
Right?
crack.
That's what I'm thinking.
My phone has a crack right where the hang up thing is, so I have to hit it like 10 times.
Here, I got it. Right here.
All right.